Hey guys, it's Brian from A Hero's Journey podcast. This episode is brought to you by SMP Inc., JPS Computers, and West Coast Tattoo Parlor. So this episode, actually, I'm hitting the road. I'm getting ready to go to Alaska this week. I've got shows with Josie Scott, the original voice of Saliva. I'm taking over K-Hits 107.1 on Thursday in Alaska. We're hacking in to the show, taking over, playing a bunch of artists that I think should be played on the radio, including my boy Mason, who is running this camera right now. This is going to be a special episode of A Hero's Journey podcast because it's my producer, Austin. Austin has a show called Bizarre Junkeez. I was a guest on his show, and I want to share that episode. I got a chance to sit down, and he interviewed me. That's what this episode is about. Since that interview, we have done a ghost hunt out at the Pioneer. You can go to Bizarre Junkeez on YouTube, check it out, and find the ghost hunt. There are some shows before it and after it that we all sat down and talked about that ghost hunt, but you can check that out. And then we did a ghost hunt last weekend right here at Sticky Paw Studios. It was insane. I didn't think we'd get anything. We got a ton of stuff. But this conversation is pre to that. And before he was ever my producer, now he is Austin, my producer from Bizarre Junkeez. Check out this episode of A Hero's Journey podcast / Bizarre Junkeez, where I'm the guest. You guys have a great week. Thank you. And maybe I'll put that episode of the radio takeover as next week's episode. All right, guys, I'll see you. Thanks again.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Bizarre Junkeez podcast. I'm your host, Austin Alvarez. I'm going to say it again like I do every other week. I got a great episode for you guys. I really enjoy being able to bring you very cool stories, and today's story is no less cooler than anybody else's. It's actually pretty dang cool. We have Mr. Brian Hopkins in, who is the lead singer of Elvis Monroe and also hosts a fantastic podcast called The Hero's Journey podcast, which I've been able to be a part of.
Well, thank you. That was really nice, and that intro is like scary.
Thank you. I made it.
I believe you did.
I'm always so proud to show that off when everyone's like, "I like that." I'm like, "Thank you." I made that.
It's cool. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like when I'm like, they're looking at me or looking down. I'm like, "Yo, look at the screen."
Yeah.
Like,
Look at my creation, please.
Yeah,
I made that.
I made that on my phone. Yeah.
Oh, see, no, that's more impressive. I made that on the computer, which, to be fair, video editing is video editing. But so
yes,
you host your own podcast. You are the lead singer of Elvis Monroe, but okay. So I've known you for, I want to say about a year now.
No, not that long. I think it's,
when did you start?
I'm 43 episodes in.
Okay.
So I want to say it's like July. We're coming up on like 10 months, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So almost a year. I've known you for quite some time, though.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Not really that much time, but it feels like I've known you forever.
Yeah, it does. We're a family here, though.
We are a family here. George and I are partners. I'm checking to see. He's training somebody.
I know.
So I'm trying to see if he's.
It's a little distracting. I can hear him talking in my ear. It's weird.
Wait. You guys don't like my voice?
No, love your voice.
When did we say we didn't like your voice, George? If I didn't like your voice, I wouldn't have you keep being on the show.
Well, it shouldn't throw you off when I'm in your ear. I should be in your ear every second of every day.
You're not in my ear. You're outside of my ears.
Okay.
Because I have the headphones on and I can hear you over there.
Deep ass voice. I'll whisper.
Yeah, so you're going to want to go ahead and when you change cameras, you're going to want to do that. But you have been telling me, I want to say almost as long as you've known that I've been into this stuff, that you've had so many crazy paranormal experiences. Like, and not just, oh yeah, I heard a voice, but like, as we're going to see here in a minute, you've had something that like a lot of people have not encountered. They just encounter like a one and done, and
right,
and that's it. You seem to have a
it's ongoing.
It sounds like it's ongoing. I'm waiting for them to come through the door at this point.
Yeah. It's when I sit down and I talk about these things like I am right now with you, most likely at some point I'll catch something on my phone, or I'll catch something. Something will happen, or I'll notice something that goes on, and it used to freak my girl out. I thought I was gonna lose her, because I'd walk into places and go, wow, oh whoa, I can like something feels
She's like, the demons are following him.
It's not that, but it's like something feels a little off, you know,
Right.
like and there's someone here or something, and she's like, what? And I literally, the day that we said I love you for the first time in Chicago, Illinois, I said that to her probably 30 minutes later, and she's like, what did I just do?
What did I just sign my life away for?
And at the end of the night, it was proven. Like I had said there was something there, and at the end of the night, and if you're going to run that video, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think
crazy.
without further ado, George, if you want to just mute us and we can just roll the video full screen.
This is gorgeous. Look at the chandelier. As I've gotten older, I've become more in tune to my surroundings and noticing those things that are beautiful. Things have been happening to me and open to beauty that comes into my life, like this lady. In Joliet, Illinois, at the Rialto Square Theater, a place where they hold a seat for the ghost, even on a sold-out show, I had mentioned to Nicole that I knew something was with me. And when I got home and went through my phone, I noticed on the last photo of the evening, an apparition above my head. You can see it in slow motion. It shows itself like it wants to be seen. I started to notice that it would show up when I started to play music. I was with my buddies from Love and Theft and talking about my family and the missing family in my life. And right there on my chest, it shows up again. This isn't something I share all that often, but it keeps showing up. And I don't know if it's family. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm not afraid. It doesn't scare me. And as you can see when I'm on stage, someone's always making an appearance. I find myself trying to stay in tune, and then things like this happen and I capture it. And I ask, who are you? Why are you here? Why me? I caught this in my kitchen as I was standing there asking it to please stop turning on my gas, stop turning on my gas light. And after this moment, it never happened again. In the studio, behind a mic or on stage, and special moments like this, where someone or something wants to be seen, I welcome it. I'm standing there talking about those times that these things happened to me, and as soon as I took a photo, it shows up again. Always around music. Music chose me, I didn't choose it. Not unlike how I met the beautiful Nicole.
I told Brian I'd have to see it to believe it. Not 2 days later, we were up in my bedroom getting ready to go somewhere. I was walking towards him from the bathroom when I see a flash of green light in front of me and hear "hello" in a little girl's voice. I then asked Brian, "Did you just hear?" And he said, "Hello? Yeah, I heard it. Say hi back." And I said, "Oh no, that needs to leave."
I don't expect everybody to believe me or even understand, because sometimes I don't understand. But when I talk about my family, like my uncle, he shows up. Like the other night, I'm on stage and I'm looking over this video and I see him show up. You can see it in slow motion. I don't really know that it's him, but I want to believe that it is. So I'm welcome to it. Come visit me. I just wanted to share.
So that's wild. The fact that you're seeing this not just a one-time thing. You're seeing this as a normal occurrence. Now, let me kind of play devil's advocate here and get it out of the way, because I feel like we can move past it and really get to it. So a lot of people think that orbs are, and they've been proven to just be dust, but the way that one moves is so like uniform.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't move just like a random speck of dust.
I can show you things that are dust. I'll point out what's dust constantly.
You're not a dusty person either.
I'm like, no, I'm like, it's I know what's dust. Like people will show me stuff. I'm like, no. And then like photographers will send me photos and like, man, this isn't it's a flare. Like we can show you what flares are. These things that just pop up in these photos that we have of you, like at your feet or something. And it's just crazy. So I know that. I know, certain things. And then I can watch video, just tons of video, and you don't see anything. And then it's literally the times, and I'm not joking when I say this, that I talk about my uncle or a family member that has passed, and music, I wouldn't be doing music without them. And next thing you know, it's something happens. And I don't even go searching for it. It just all of a sudden I notice something in the photo. I remember one day talking to a buddy about this, and he's in Nashville, and I snap a picture afterwards because we're talking about it. And there's a massive green orb on my chest like this. And I hit 1, 2, 3 pictures. Just bang, bang, bang. And that's what I'll do. And I'm at the gym. And there's nothing, there's something, there's nothing. And I sent that to him and said, I told you, man. It's like, I'm talking about it. I'm open to it. It's a wild thing, and it's not just those things. It's not just that. That thing's a couple years old, and my phone is full of stuff.
Right.
And my phone is full of so many other things. I didn't get into it. The gas thing was my parents were staying with me, and I was blaming my mom for turning on the gas. And she goes, why would we do that? We're the ones noticing it. The gas was just going in the house. So we'd walk in and it was just gas smell.
Yep.
And then, or the pilot light is on. You have to push that thing in and click it over to make that work. And I'm like, somebody's trying to get my attention. And that's what's going on right now. Someone's trying to grab my attention. And so I went into the kitchen and I just started talking to him and said, look, you got my attention. This is what's up, but that's dangerous. This needs to stop. And all I did is took 2 photos as I was talking. That's it. And I had a moving photo, and I try not to use flash and stuff, but like even that big basketball player guy that I was talking to about, there's no flash in that. Just shows up right in the photo.
Right. And you were telling me when we watched it just now in the back, you're like, yeah, we were just talking about it literally that second.
Yeah. And we were at the House of Blues.
Here?
Yeah. Here in Vegas. But, like in Joliet, Illinois, I could just feel it. And then later at the end, when it was all over, I said, this is the most beautiful theater that I've ever been in. And it's what Vegas, tries to be. And it's just gorgeous, right? And they told me the story. Oh, by the way, do you know that we hold a seat for the ghost here? I'm like, see, I said, I told you guys. Like, I told you. Like, I knew it. And it wasn't anything anybody told me. It was just, I could just feel it. And it's really wild. I had a friend, she was the Elvis Monroe Mafia. That's what our fans called themselves. And she was the president. And it was really weird because I want to say it's 1.5 years ago now. And it's just coming up on a year. And I'm in my bed, or actually the night before, it's 9:00 at night. And by the way, don't think I'm crazy. This is just me, and I don't walk around telling people that this is how I am. But random people who do that, who feel connected, like I wouldn't mess with that Ouija board, bro. Like, that's too
I don't mess with
wicked.
it, but
I know, but I'm just saying, yeah, but I'm like, nah, I'm good. But what I'm saying is, I whatever you believe in, whatever religion, whatever, it's me. I'm Native American Indian.
Right.
I'm just spiritual. Music is like, if that was a religion, that is me. That's where I get I feel the most and I can emote. And you're a musician as well.
Right.
You know, so for me, this is a way to just, I just am open to these things. Like when I heard that voice, my girl heard that the little girl's voice say hello.
Yep.
I was not scared. She was fucking terrified.
She said in the video, no, that has to go.
No, she wasn't. She was calm in the video. She was scared. And I'm like, don't be scared. It wasn't scary. I'm
Right.
like trying to tell her, you asked for proof. You asked for that 2 days. You said you needed to see something to believe it. And you got more than I've ever even heard. I heard a voice between us in dead silent, 9 o'clock at night. We're leaving the room. It's pitch black. The house is empty. Bam. She sees a light. I didn't see the light. I just heard the little girl's voice about this high off the ground say hello to us.
Right.
And, you know, there was nothing after that. But my whole point is this. So the night, it's 9 o'clock at night, and I have a cat. And my cat is freaking out. And she is standing on this ledge. She can fall down the stairs, and she's reaching for something. And she's crying out like she's never cried. And it's scaring my girl. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what she's trying to get at. And I'm looking, is there a mosquito or something, right?
Right.
Nothing. I'm like turning on the lights and she's still freaking out. So I have to grab her and calm her down. We go to bed. The next morning, I literally got woke up by somebody sitting down at the foot of my bed. They sat down. I could feel it go down, the weight shift at the corner of my bed, and somebody pulled at my ankles. And I'm face down in my pillow, and I went, okay, I feel you. And I wake up, I go, I wasn't scared. And I'm like, what do you want? You know, who are you? And I just feel this on my ankle. I'm like, okay. The phone rings. And it's this lady, Sandy. And I didn't tell her this. People would think I was crazy. And the phone rings. And she said, Nancy died last night at 9 o'clock. And I went, oh, wow.
And that was the lady who was the mafia president,
yes,
right?
the president of the mafia. And I'm like, that's who it was. That's who came to let me know. I knew it. It was instant. Like as soon as she said those words, I was sad, but I wasn't scared. But
it was like
also
a familiar feeling?
Yes. I wasn't scared. And Nicole, I tell Nicole, she's freaking out. She lays in the same bed next to me, and I'm sitting there telling her someone's touching me. You know, but she wasn't there. She was gone. But and I literally am saying, you know, hey, okay, I'm so sorry. You know, like, but I was sad, but it was this weird like comfort, like she's letting me know I'm here. And I went, that was it. The other day, you remember the guitar player from Saliva passed away?
Vaguely, yes.
Yes. Okay. So this was a few weeks ago.
Right.
And I've only met him twice. I met him in Virginia this past summer. Then I ran into him. I went to a show and he was opening up for Daughtry, and I was there with Daughtry. And
right. Yeah, I remember you telling us about that. Yeah.
And so they were there. And the singer, Josie Scott, and I are friends. And Josie texted me and said, hey, and I feel a little bit Sweeney. I want to say, I'm blanking. I feel bad that I don't remember his name. But he tells me he's in the hospital. And then a few hours later, he told me he had passed. Wow. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, man. Well, the next morning, man, I get tapped in my middle of my back, right between my shoulder blades, really hard, waking me up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I went, okay, right? And instantly I see his face and he says, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I went, all right, okay. And I'm looking around like nobody's here. And I lay back down. But I felt it like if you were touching me in the middle of my back. That woke me up. The first time woke me like that, irritating. And then I'm eyes open, pop, pop, pop. And then I see his image of him telling me he's okay. Took me 2 days to get the courage to reach out to Josie and let him know. I said, I think I'm supposed to tell you this, and don't think I'm crazy, but you know me, man. Like, take it for what you want, whatever you believe, whatever. But maybe it's because I'm just open to these things. He came to me and said that he's okay. And I've only met him twice, and so it's just those kinds of things in my life. Grew up, we had a ghost in our house, and
that's such the more I talk to people around your age range, younger people like me, we didn't really have, I've had encounters before, but we didn't have a household ghost. I interviewed a lady who was like, yeah, my grandmother had the same ghost and we all saw her all the time.
My nieces, my niece and nephew, they remember him because they were little, and it was a guy in a white t-shirt and overalls, and he was upstairs most of the time. And come to find out, the guy who we knew, he grew up in that house, and we had moved into it when I was in high school, and when I came back from college, and my parents had moved into this house, and his dad had committed suicide, but we thought that was him. And he's like, we described him. My mom and dad, they'd seen him. My niece and nephews, what they told, but they were little. They're like, who's the man on the stairs? And my mom wouldn't even turn her back. She'd just go, that's the guy who used to live here, honey. It's okay. He's fine. He had only scared my mom a couple of times. No, for real. Took the marbles off the top of the toilet. She was getting in the shower, and then she steps out of the shower, and they're all on the floor. There was no crash. There was no smash, nothing. All the marbles are on the floor. One time my dad he's building the deck, and he goes and kicks all the balls, right, that are on the deck. He's adding to this. So all the balls footballs, baseballs, basketballs in the backyard.
They all got to come off.
Kicks him into the yard, right? And he's bop, 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 hammering, dot, dot, dot. Turns around, and he screams bloody murder to my mom because now they're all lined up behind him in the backyard. And he screams for my mom. He's freaking out. Another time, he's going down the stairs, and he screams for my mom. My dad's a big old Indian. And he screams. I just walked through somebody. I felt it. I felt their pain. I walked right through them. It was cold, going down the stairs in the basement. So we were sitting watching baseball, and I had a baseball on the fireplace, and I'm sitting with my parents, and we were watching the World Series, right? All of a sudden, the baseball just jumps right off the fireplace and across the floor. And none of us even freaked out. We were just like, okay, you're here. Cool.
Typical Saturday night.
Yeah,
right.
this is just the way it is, But when I was there, I got a weird feeling when I was there.
At that house?
At that house. For me, it was a weird feeling for me. And I never really wanted to stay there. So I got out of there really quick. It's time for me to move to Hollywood. I'd only been there 6 months. I didn't like the vibe. But it was a great place for the kids. Everyone, even with their little stories as they're growing up and talking about their experiences, and remember seeing somebody in the house, nobody was hurt. And,
just good to hear, because sometimes you hear the opposite. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure you've heard some crazy stuff in here on your show.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard crazy stuff growing up. My girlfriend and her dad's house apparently is super haunted.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, there's this guy who was always there, and he would just stare at me from the door frames. And, it scared me. And I was like, you're just talking about this nonchalantly?
Yeah.
It scared the life out of you. But I wanted to kind of go back to that video we watched.
Yeah.
When did you really start noticing that it was happening? Like a year or an age that it really started happening?
That's a good question. I started noticing
with the following, because obviously you've had experiences before that.
Yeah, I've had all these kinds of things and that had gone on, but I just started when it came to music, I think it was photographers that started pointing it out to me. Like, hey man, I've got these shots and this just kept popping up here and here and in these photos. And I'm like, oh, cool, whatever.
I have to go back and look at my footage and see if I catch anything.
Yeah. And I'm like, and then they were explaining to me, you're shooting into the sun, you get these green flares, you're shooting into light and, that kind of stuff. But they're like, no, I wasn't using flash and they're showing me certain things that, bang, 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 they're shooting 4 or 5 shots and there's this thing only in one shot, showing up or whatever. So I started being aware. But what's even crazier for me is, I can't talk for my sister, but I was just with her this weekend. My sister sees people. When we were kids, when she was little, she was like 2.5, 3 years old. I used to think that she would run into a room and hide underneath the rug underneath her bed because my dad's friends would always be like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. I want to take you home with me. That's why I thought. And so here I am, her older brother, and I'm 8 years old going, you can't say that. You can't be saying that to, you tell your friends, they got to stop saying that. That wasn't it. What she was she was seeing people. She could see people. And what she found out is like, if we were sitting here having this conversation right now, and you just said somebody just passed that and whatever, and you got deep into it, she would have to leave the room. She'd have to be like, nope, I'm not open to this. Because what happens is, like what I said, the fact that I think that I'm just open to, I'm okay with there's got to be something else other than us. We're pretty phenomenal species,
Right.
like whether you believe in God, whatever it is, we're pretty amazing. There's got to be more. There's got to be more out there beyond our universe. There's got to be more. The things that have went on for the millions of years or whatever. We got to be smarter than that. We're only using like a small percentage of our brain, and me probably less. But
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Singing takes a lot. I can't do it.
No, but you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where my sister is really connected to it. So she got open to it. She went to Australia and she met with some people who that's what they do. And she wanted to learn more about herself. And because she knows what she was trying to turn off her whole life, and I have just been opening up to it.
Right.
And just going, hey, this is what it is. This was crazy. Like, this just happened to me. And how my girl is she's athletic, she's beautiful, she's very, if you do this happens. If you go to school, do this happens, kind of thing. And I'm the guy who's in a band, who has a podcast, who owns a clothing line, like work for myself guy. And there's no guarantees of anything, right? I'm the dreamer, right? So for her to sit and listen to these things, it's cool. She even knows it happened. She watches. Now she understands. It doesn't freak her out anymore. But she's not going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, that's just, oh, yeah, that's Brian or whatever. She still, even though she heard the voice, it's always like a little bit more. And every time she gets gifted these things and she's like, damn it, I got to stop asking. I got to stop asking.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I got to stop asking for these things because these things keep happening. Talking in the door, just because we're talking about stuff. Oh, I'll give you one. We're sitting in my room. Not even sitting. We're both asleep. It's 12:30 at night. We're asleep. And she gets up to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, man, I have to go to the bathroom too. So I'm going to go to the bathroom in the main bathroom outside the room. I go out. I come back in. And I'm like, why'd you turn my light on my side of the bed? Like, it's 12. We're going to bed. Like, we're in bed. She's like, I didn't do it. I thought you did. I'm like, okay, well, somebody's trying to get our attention. My phone rings. It's my little sister. She says, hey, Bub, sorry, are you awake? And I'm like, I am now. And I go, my light just came on. She goes, that's why I was calling you. She said, is Nicole there? I'm like, yeah. She put her on speaker. She said, Nicole, I don't want to get personal, but, and this is how the conversation went. Did your mom have miscarriages before you? And she's like, yeah. She goes, I'm seeing 3. And the reason why I'm saying that is there are 3 people in the room right now trying to get your attention. And they're your 2 brothers and your sister that weren't born. And they're in the room right now with you. Talk to them. So I did. She did. She's like, this is crazy. But I'm like, no, go ahead. Just talk to them. So she's talking. Then I take 1, 2 pictures while she's talking. That's the one green with you, the
Right.
dresser.
Oh, that was
We
that.
saw that outside of the picture. And we both were too scared to look.
And this is right after the phone call.
right after the phone call. So we take that photo and the both of us see it outside of the photo and went, oh my God. Like, I was afraid to look
Right.
to see if I got it because neither one of us even, it didn't matter if I got it on the phone because we saw it in person. And then what we saw is on this side, I had a little short dresser and we see one just go down the dresser and with no taking no photos. And so those kinds of things kind of, was one of those things that freaked her out. Another time too, and my sister called me again. My cell phone was on the side of my bed, plugged in, sitting there. We're watching TV. Boom. My phone hits the floor. It's just like us right here. If this coffee cup was to just jump on the floor. So I'm like, okay, someone's trying to get my attention. All right. About 5-10 minutes later, I get a text from my sister. And she said, hey, are you around? I'm like, I am in my room right now. She calls. She goes, there are 2 people there right now. And there's one in there. He says he's related to us, but I don't recognize him. And she describes him to me. She said he's like 19, 20 years old, long hair, brown hair. And he says he's related. And I go, that's Uncle Timmy. You were a baby when he died. And he ran around and hugged everybody that day, made his friends all wait before he took off. And he died in a car accident that night. And she said, he's always with you. And he's saying he's telling me he's always with you. And I never met him. Then the other one is a guy in a cowboy hat. And he just keeps saying, thank you. Thank you. And I go, I know who that is. His name's Adrian Murfitt. I met him right before he got shot and killed in October 1.
Right.
And I took a picture with him. But what he's saying thank you for is a few weeks later. I did not know this, but I went to Alaska to do a benefit concert for 2 fallen Alaskans, and he was one of them. And I held his mom's hand during the dinner the night before while she told me stuff about him. But I didn't know that I had met him until after the concert was over and his best friend walked up and said we had met. And I went, what? And then the walls looked like they were just moving. And I realized I took a picture with you right before, hell rained down
Like
on us.
moments before,
Yeah.
right?
And he's like, yeah. And he and I are still friends. But I'm like, he's trying to say thank you. And done.
And
But
you hadn't told your sister that
nothing. My sister
until
knew.
the moment she called you and said, there's a guy here saying thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you kind of told her, and then
she describes who he is.
my-
And I'm like,
oh
done.
my God, your sister's the ghost whisperer.
Right? No joke. And
For real though,
I'll
like not even like in an ironic, like hee hee ha ha way, like in a legit way. Like
Yeah, so I won't give any names here, but
Right.
we were out on the road, and this security guard walks up to give us instructions and whatnot, and we were out on tour. My sister was our tour manager. She runs on the bus, and she's shaking and crying, and she jumps in her bunk, which is above mine, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she said, "No, and no, not now. And she's like, I'm fine. And she's laying in her bed. Then she jumps down, and my sister's a boss. Like,
Yeah,
she's
I've met her.
beautiful. My sister is a boss. And
I was a little intimidated by
yeah.
her.
And so, no, for real. She's great. But she walks back in to this person. She didn't tell me what's going on. So I had to follow her. I wanted to see what was going on. And she said, so-and-so, I need to tell you something. Because he had shook her hand and give her a hug when all this stuff happened. And she was trying to shake it off. So she had walked back in, grabbed his hand and said, I'm going to tell you something. Take it for what you want. But there are two people here with me right now. And they're telling me to tell you that you had to do your job. It was you or them. And he had, in war, killed two people. And she described how one was killed and how the other one was killed. And they were there to let him, he starts crying. We're strangers to him.
First time ever meeting on tour.
Exactly. We're strangers to him. And so now we are best of buddies. Like, this is somebody who reaches out to me.
Right.
He's not, he's a very religious person, right? But he's like, there's something, there's a gift here, there's something, and there's got to be more. And he FaceTimed me the other day, and then I was with my sister, and she's like, oh, he just called me. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, we are tight, and he's in the business still. But
So would you say that, like, your sister, like, and not even as like I need to help this man, but like as just it seemed like he was holding on to that.
He was, yes, that's the reason
he was
why.
internalizing it. And so your sister got this message and was like, I got to tell you this, and told him. And it was like, almost like you could see like a weight off his shoulders. Like, he was like, he could be at peace.
Exactly. And that was exactly it. And he's such a great guy. And it gave him this sense of like understanding and relief. And just like the other day when Josie's guitar player passed.
Right.
I'd never had that where it's only my comfort. It's only my thing that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Like, that doesn't scare me. This doesn't scare me. This is the reason why this is happening for me, But in this case, I'm like, I need to tell him he can do it, whatever he wants. He can not answer my phone calls anymore, whatever. It's fine. But he's a very spiritual person. And he had told me a story about his son and why he got back into music. And his son had died during COVID. And he had a dream. And the dream was so vivid that his son came to him and said, it was like he was boxing. And his son was like, get up, get off the mat, Dad. You got to get back in the fight. And his son was talking to him. So I'm like, I remembered that in an interview I did with him for Hero's Journey and Rock Rage Radio. And that's when we met, and we're both in tears in this moment. So I'm like, I can tell him this. And I thought to myself, why me? Why? There's all these people that could share that he's okay.
Right.
Why come to me? And maybe because I'm just okay with it.
Yeah, I
maybe
feel
I'm okay with that. And I'm like, oh, and this is what I was getting at. I have a puppy. I just got a puppy, right?
Yeah, beautiful dog.
Thanks. And so we went to our first puppy class, right? And this woman, she's from Italy. She's got a thick accent. She used to be a pop singer she had a gold record.
Wow.
Right?
That's
I knew
something to scoff at.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this. Any of this I just walked in. Nicole's in charge. I'm going to be there for support, and I want to learn so that way we teach our puppy how to, we're parenting the
Good
puppy
parenting.
the
Unlike
same way.
Me, who's just like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
No, I don't want to ruin this puppy. Like, this puppy is like,
This puppy's going to go to private school. This puppy's going to go to Harvard afterwards.
Right.
They're going to be a lawyer.
no, this puppy can dream. It can be a musician if it wants to.
Sure. But we're going to make sure that it doesn't end up, on the streets.
No, so at the end of the class, I haven't said anything other than, sit and down and yes, good dog.
Yeah.
I just listened. Then the woman says something about animals are almost like mediums.
Yeah,
type of
they're
thing.
super sensitive
They
to
can
that.
they can feel things. They see things that we don't see as humans. They can see something in somebody that we don't know and we won't catch for a
Yes.
while. And they will know this about this person, and it's a thing that they have.
Like intuition.
Yeah.
Like, haven't you ever heard like let's say George here, which I know we both know George is a good guy.
Right.
But let's say he walks into my house and my dog is like,
Yeah, like no,
nah,
I ain't having it.
That's almost like a better indicator than you knowing him. At like, hey, maybe George.
George is hiding something. Maybe George.
Yeah,
is,
George, what are all those turtles in your backyard?
Yeah, and he goes actually by Jose. Yeah. No, so no, for real. So she says this to me, and then she goes, "Please don't think I'm crazy. I'm not hitting on your guy." She tells to Nicole. She says this to Nicole, and she said, "There is something about you. There's this energy when you walked in the room, and do you read people? Are you spiritual, open? Do you read cards?
Right.
She's
Are you
asking
a
me,
psychic?
Are you a medium?"
Yeah.
And I went, "No." And I look over, and Nicole's like nodding her head. I'm like, "No, I don't do that, though. I don't do that." She goes, "I grew up, it's in my family." And she goes, "I almost cried when you walked in the room." And I've had that happen. Going on stage, a girl walked in, beautiful bartender girl. I wouldn't think anything,
Yeah.
You're just thinking of Vanessa,
Right.
walks in and then walks out crying and walks over to Nicole and says, "Don't think I'm crazy. Your boyfriend is putting off this energy. It's positive, and it's like it's a good vibe, a good spirit, good." And I don't say this to anyone about anything. And she's crying. She goes, "We don't think you're crazy. I would have a year ago."
Sounds like Nicole is just like, Tell him he's psychic.
Yeah.
Tell him he's a medium. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can we get to dinner, please?
So she introduces me to this person, and I give her a hug and whatever. But it's not. I don't know what it is. And another person had told me that I have lived multiple lives, and that's where it comes from. And I used to joke around about that as a kid. I was young, and I said, "I'm born without a left chest muscle and part of my bicep." And I said, "That's something I lost
In the war?
No, not in a war, but as a native, there were certain things that you had to go through, rituals, to prove you were a warrior or a brave." And I said, I never got that back, and so in this life, I was born without it. It's my war wound that I carry, but it also kept me humble. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we all have our insecurities. There isn't
100%.
anyone that I've met that doesn't have an insecurity. And if they act like they don't have an insecurity, that's what it is.
They're lying.
They're lying. That's it's a cover up. But mine, I can point that out. I know what it is. I know what kept me. I had to try and outwork and do those kinds of things. So anyway, yeah. So
you brought that up, and because I have other than just the paranormal questions for you,
Yeah,
or
sure.
maybe the ghost questions for you, but you bring that up because I never knew up until now, because I always knew you had native in you.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were growing
George,
up.
I give native to George every now and then. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Give him the real native.
Yeah.
So your dad was full native or full Native American?
No,
correct?
my dad is what? My dad is half Sioux. Yeah.
Okay.
And and it's crazy because we take so much pride in being native. I'm quarter Sioux and part Cherokee. So
see, I've been told growing up that I have from my grandmother, and I've never leaned into it,
Right.
Because I always said, no, we're Hispanic. Like last name's Alvarez. Like
right.
my grandmother swears up and down we're not Hispanic, we're Native American. And
Well,
I'm like, and so you don't strike me as somebody that's like, I'm Native. No, it's like, no, I can tell you have the lineage in there. You have for me, I'm like, I don't
but
see it. But like,
even Alvarez, right?
Right.
It's, I mean, come on, you're native. That's you're crossing into you. Everybody would think they're Native American Indian or Indians, of whether it's Mexican.
Yeah, you're
Cuban,
native to Mexico.
Exactly. And coming up until you're living in houses and things, you have your spiritual ways. You have,
Correct.
So, just take pride.
So that brings me to, because it wasn't like it doesn't necessarily sound like you grew up in a native household where I don't know if you guys.
I know, in a way we did.
Okay, so.
My grandmother, she died of cirrhosis of the liver. So.
Oh, okay.
When I was 8, but yeah, we
she was
played
half?
drums. My grandmother was, my grandmother was full.
And that's why your dad was half.
Exactly.
Okay. So did you ever grow up with like, I have friends who are native, 100% native, and they grew up on the reservation in Arizona, up in Flagstaff.
Okay.
There are certain words I can't say to them about certain urban legends.
Right.
So I was curious as to if you grew up with any, or maybe just if you grew up like in where you lived, if you ever grew up with like any creepy urban legends that you and like your siblings were like,
No,
nothing like that.
No. Like my dad, I told you, my dad, he just tried to raise us to be good people.
Right.
And everybody, like I went to you stay the night at somebody's house and if it's Sunday, you got to go to church with them.
Yep.
And so I'm going to Catholic church, Christian church, Mormon. I'm going to all my friends, whatever it is that they are. And as a young kid, I remember thinking, we don't drive. My parents aren't driving religion down our throats.
Right.
It's just try and be a good person.
That's how I grew up. Yeah.
We be a good person. No bullshit racism stuff. None of this. It's like be a good person.
Just common human decency.
Exactly. And almost like if karma was a religion kind of thing. But
right.
But being Native American Indian, it was like there has to be more. There's a God, there's there's Mother Earth, and
right. And you're not taking it from the aspect of like there's a Jesus, there's a God. No. It's just, there's got to be more. Maybe it's on a plane. Maybe it's just a way you feel or a way you think.
Exactly. And the thing was, I realized that at 8 years old, 9 years old, when I went to all my friends' churches and thought to myself, how could everybody be wrong? They're all trying to scare me into being religious, into their religion. Otherwise, I'm going to die and go to hell or wherever their hell is or wherever it is. I'm going to be condemned for whatever. And I thought to myself, how could you be wrong? How could you be wrong? How could you be, as a kid, how could anybody be wrong? Just if you need this to help you guide to be a better person, go for it. Be a better person.
Right, if it's going to help you.
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly. Do what you need to do. And I'm 8, 9 years old.
You already got
deciding
it more
this.
figured out than most people do.
I knew
today.
then I wasn't going to drink or do drugs. I'd never drank or done drugs in my entire life. So I'm not sitting here saying, all these things happened to me and I was drunk and what? Nothing. I've never smoked weed, never drank, never done a drug in my entire life. Nothing.
You got to change that, George. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey. You straight edge, bro.
Straight edge.
But I didn't know what that was either. People
right,
would say
you were
that to
just
me.
like, if I don't need that, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly. But I just said, I'm Native American Indian and alcoholism runs really bad in my family and relatives, and grandmother died, cirrhosis of the liver, uncle died of it, 2 aunts died of it.
Yeah, it's not something to take lightly.
No, it's killing other people in my family now too. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big thing. So you mentioned war wounds. Do you want to go into that a little bit? Because you said, these are things from a previous life that I...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just, I was a kid thinking that, and I believed it. It was like, oh yeah, that's just the way it was. It wasn't something that I can sit there and tell you.
Right. But that just sounds so
fascinating
that like, because like, I am not religious whatsoever, but I do feel like there is, like you, there has to be more.
You can't sit here
Correct.
and have this show and want to be open to all these things and then go, there can't be something else.
Correct. You can't
like George wasn't made a perfect specimen out of just nothing. Like he was made
correct.
perfect. So that way, like I'm serious. Like
Yeah.
the way we function, the way we are made, the way this organ, does this and
Yeah, I mean, on a scientific level, you'd be like evolution, but even evolution is like so crazy and so like amazing to even compartmentalize. And then you think, okay, we have evolution at a base level.
Right.
What do we have going on up here? Like you said, we only use a fraction of our brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. There's got to be a combination of the both.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be one or the other? That's what I'm getting at. That's
Correct.
my point about religion. Why does it have to be just black or just white? Why can't it be gray? It's evolution and this, whatever it is that this magic
Yeah.
thing.
Maybe you feel about the same way. It's like, for me, it's like, it feels like spirituality should be like the wind.
Okay.
Okay.
But you can stand outside.
Yeah.
And look at the sunset go down and feel the wind in your face, or stand in the water, or like when George took the mountain this weekend,
right?
And stand there and go, look at this, feel this. This is what, in this moment, that's what this is. We're given this moment right now to share this stuff. It's all a gift.
Right.
And it's gone like that. And I know that my girl and I met in a moment that lives were taken away.
Right.
So, and it's another reason to embrace it and be in the moment.
Right.
Like love this moment. I get on my Harley and ride out of here, and I enjoy the ride from here to wherever I'm going. And I know that I can be taken out by a car or whatever any second. That's part of the thrill. But it's also like I'm doing something that, wow, this wasn't on my bucket list of things to do. And I feel safe. And this is beautiful, and I'm enjoying this right now because we can go at any time for anything. It almost happened to Uncle Marvin today.
Correct. That was scary.
It can be gone like that. So,
correct. Yeah. And so I feel like this is a perfect, we're going to have you on again for sure. Because there's so much to talk about. But this was so, I almost want to say like enlightening of like, like I said, I'm not religious, but I feel that you can enjoy life not just from am I being good or am I sinning? Am I going to go to heaven? Yeah. No, it's hey, can I enjoy this moment in the same air with you and George?
Right.
Can we just have a human connection here?
I love that.
That doesn't have to be, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? Do we believe in the same God? No. Are we one with ourselves? Are we one with just the moment that we're in? We don't even have to be one with the outside. We can be just one in this room.
And that's where I kind of went off and talked about with my dad and the way my mom and dad raised us, and because everybody's so different and different parts of the world and whatever, and however that moment they raised us, and now we're off in the world. They made us the best we possibly can be in their eyes, and just supported us and go dream, be you, but be kind, be good to people. And I'll leave you with this because I dig everything you're doing on this show.
I appreciate
I'm so
that.
proud of you.
Thank you.
It's so cool. But when my dad was a kid, he had older sisters and brothers, and my dad was the baby. And they were leaving a Little League baseball game when he was a kid, and my uncle was old enough to drive, right? He was just old. No, he wasn't even old enough to drive. He was 14 or 15 and wasn't old enough to drive. This is in Vancouver, Washington. And I've heard this story from all three of my uncles, right? From their perspectives. And they're leaving, and they're in Evergreen, Washington. And they're all of a sudden there's like, they thought was a helicopter that was above them in the woods. And they realize when they're looking outside, and it's right above them. That's not a helicopter. They can see it, and it was like a my dad described it as a cigar shaped.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not even kidding.
No, I know. You've told me this before, and I totally forgot
And
about it just
it
now.
It lit up the car. My uncle Jim turns off the car lights. He screams to get my Uncle Gary on top of my dad, and they're laying in the back seat looking up, and it's right above them, following them, right? And he is flying, and he knows the road, but it's so lit up that it didn't matter. Like, you know, they're all crying because they've never seen anything like this in their life.
Yeah,
they're all in tears. They're 14 or whatever, and like 12 and 10. My dad's like 10 years old, and you know, coming home from his little league game, and they race up to their house and they just jump out of the car screaming for my grandpa to come out, and he comes out and they see it, and they're watching it, and it goes about 100 yards past, and there's two more. And they're all standing in the yard looking at it, and then bam, gone. And the next day, it was in the newspaper, people seeing, UFOs, blah, 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 whatever. But they could see it like 60 feet above them, kind of thing. And my dad, to this day, he's like, I don't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk about it. People think he's crazy. But he's like, when asked, do you believe in, these things? And he's like, yeah. I do. I saw it with my own eyes. And he goes, you don't have to believe me. I don't care. Like, he's not running.
I know what I
he's
saw.
Not running off trying to get a movie deal or get famous from me.
I know what I saw.
I saw it. That's it.
You
know, me and my brothers, we saw it, and we were scared. We thought we were going to die. That's the way they felt.
Damn, Brian, what a way to end a show.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez. All right, Brian, tell everybody where they can find you.
It's Elvis Monroe Official on Instagram, or Hero's Journey Podcast on Instagram. You can go to elvismonroe.com or heroesjourneypodcast.com. Shout out to Sticky Paw Studios, the family here, and thank you for having me on Bizarre
Of course.
Junkeez,
we were talking about this right before we started rolling, but it was just a matter of time before I had you on. It was just I just needed to be like, hey, I need you on. When you coming on?
Okay, so the next time we do this, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got this band called Moonshine Bandits. Millions of followers. They're my buddies.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Okay, so Bird, he's the guy with the mohawk and the sunglasses in the band. He's a singer. He and I are friends. We connected on him walking up to me and going, bro, there's something more about you. And that's how we connected. And then when I told him, he goes, I knew it. And so he goes, my dad's a minister. He's got all these scary stories. His are scary, like get out of my life, kind of get out of my house, scary stories. I told him we needed to go. I want to go to the Pioneer.
Yes.
At night.
Yes.
And do a like sit and play cards or whatever there late at night, because shit happens there. And he's like, I'm in. So we need to do that.
We do.
Bring some cameras, go out there, and Old Man Liver.
Yep, we'll just
open up the doors, and it'll be the Old Man Liver, Bizarre Junkeez, Hero's Journey, Moonshine Bandits. Exactly.
It'll just be everything in one.
Just catch some shit, and we'll just like turn it into a documentary or something. And catch.
For sure.
I'm not even kidding.
No, I know.
And stuff will happen because I'm there, he's there. He and I
I'm really
are
about
just full of stories, man. I'm not even joking.
George, I'm scared now. We're not even going to do this yet. I'm scared.
I'm sick that weekend.
Yeah, George is out. George is out that weekend.
I took my sister to the Pioneer yesterday. She walks out of there and she goes, "This is great. This place is great, but yes, there's so much."
She goes, "Yes, I already know
so much in here." She goes, "There's so much," and
walks
she goes
right up to Gordy. Gordy, let me tell you something.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Brian, thanks again so much for coming on, man.
Me,
I appreciate it. Everybody watching, thank you so much for listening. We have merch. You can find that link down below. We have a Discord you can join. You can talk about all sorts of stuff like this. You can find our deep dive content on YouTube as well. And until next time, everybody, stay bizarre.
it's coming around to me.